Author's name and the link to original text is in the description. Pethius inhaled deeply through his spiracles and whistled out a slow, long-suffering sigh. Not for the first time, or the second, or the eighth. He cursed whichever bureaucrat decided that all planet sculpting corporations were required to do their business entirely in person, with physical storefronts and everything. It's not like a planet sculptor is a jeweler, or shell engraver, or dessert shop, or something like that. No one ever wanders into a store and commissions a planet sculpt on impulse. Oh yes, I'd like one slice of mountain range please, with a 2% average yearly rainfall increase on the side. Him standing there waiting for a customer to wander in was completely pointless when he could have been doing all of his sales and client engagements remotely over the extranet. Now yes, admittedly there was that unfortunate minor matter of the Lactose 4 incident a few periods back, where a Three Sons Alliance member stole the credentials of a high-ranking Casos hegemon, commissioned a now-defunct planet sculptor using a flawless digital impersonation of her, and managed to get a major hegemony world turned into an uninhabitable wasteland before anyone caught the issue. But the passage of the Continuous Physical Presence Ordinance was surely a drastic overreaction to what was really an information security issue. Justified or not, it didn't help the boredom. So for the last 11 sun parts, Pethius had been leaning against the front counter of the Abule Hive Cluster Planetary Engineering showroom, tapping his chitinous fingertips against the countertop in various rhythms to pass the time. He couldn't even amuse himself playing mindless extranet games on his tablet, since it would be unprofessional if any customer were to walk in and see him doing that. By the 9 celestial queens, he hated being a glorified retail drone. He might as well not even show up to work most sun cycles. And besides, he had had to turn away most of the customers in the past 3 moon cycles because suddenly, his antennae perked up as a quick burst of pheromones from his tablet informed him that he finally had a customer, the first one in at least 4 or 5 sun cycles. It was about clacking time. He straightened his name tag holo projector, flicked some imaginary lint off his shoulder plates, and stepped around the counter to greet his savior. Saviors actually, there were 2 of them, both members of the squat and vaguely amoeboid-looking Zhui species, one bluish-green and one dark blue. The Zhui made up a plurality of the customers at this planetary engineering location, seeing as their homeworld was just the next sector over, and this station was a central transport hub for nearby systems. The Zhui home planet was rated a Class 3 planet under the Universal Concordance Environment Classification System. It was a logarithmic survivability rating for Concordance member species. It started at Class 1 for planets where theoretically any sapient species could survive and thrive, going up to Class 2 for planets where a handful of member species would have some difficulties living there. Class 3 for planets where more species would have minor difficulties and a few might have major difficulties, and so on up the scale. The wide variety of lettered subclasses indicated the particular factors that went into a given rating. A letter theta for abnormally high ultraviolet light output from the system's sun, a pi for excessive atmospheric oxygen, a psi for carnivorous plant life, and so forth. And Zhublek in particular rated a Class 3 gamma sigma, indicating exceptionally low gravity and low ocean salinity. Zhui commissions were quick and straightforward for the Abule engineering crews. Install some subterranean anti-gravity plates, filter all the minerals out of major bodies of water, flatten any interesting terrain, and call it a sun cycle. So he looked forward to making an easy sale. "Welcome friends," Pethius said with unfeigned enthusiasm as the 2 Zhui slowly oozed up to the counter, moving very carefully in what was, to them, dangerously high gravity. "How may the Abule Hive cluster be of service?" There was a short delay as his and their translators synced, then the darker colored Zhui responded. "Good incoming tide, proprietor. We have recently acquired a small moon and wish for it to be sculpted for long-term small-scale habitation. Even through its translator, the Zhui's voice sounded slow and burbly. Of course, my friends, Pethiest responded, grabbing his tablet off the counter and crouching slightly to be closer to their eye spot level. What is your desired time frame? He asked, tapping his screen to open a new order. It is no rush. Between 2 and 3 concordant standard fiscal cycles would suffice. Excellent. And your operating budget? We represent the judiciary of Zhui Gran. Our resources are considerable. Excellent again. Pethiest sighed internally at the lack of hard numbers in either answers, but that was the Zhui for you. And I presume you'd like it sculpted to the standard Zhui template? He asked, already moving to punch in the appropriate parameters. Incorrect. We require a substantially different environment for it. Pethiest's left antenna quirked in interest. Not a standard template. That was uncharacteristically adventurous of them. Every planet sculptor had a handful of standard planet templates, jealously guarded as trade secrets due to the difficulty of creating them. Planetary engineering boasted a record 5 templates that had been extensively researched and tested based on existing planetary environments. Researching a new planet in sufficient detail to be able to recreate it was very time-consuming and expensive, and led to huge sales commissions on any projects involving those templates, so Pethiest wasn't about to complain. Ah, very good, my friends. We have several other templates for you to peruse. Our first, PAL 1, is a Class 2 Zeta world, primarily. The Zhui waved his pseudopod dismissively and interrupted, do you have any templates of Class 8 or higher? Pethiest clacked his mandibles in surprise. Class 8? No, I'm afraid not. No planet sculptor maintains templates more than 2 classes above their home planet, as those are far too dangerous to research, and Mermitos 4 is a Class 5 Pyridot. And before you ask, he added as the Zhui flicked its pseudopod questioningly. No, we cannot simply start making changes to a planet until it reaches a sufficient level of inhospitability to qualify for a certain class. A planet's environment and ecosystem must be carefully engineered if you want the sculpting to take, with appropriate weather systems, terrain formations, plant life, animal life, and more. If you don't want to start shipping in food in large quantities because all of the local plant life died off, or start seeing ground quakes because the mountains collapsed. What is a ground quake? Ah, right. They are a hazard found on tectonically active planets of Class 3A or Class 4 and above. Don't worry, it's not important. Glancing between the two, he added delicately, may I ask what use you would have for such a planet? I don't imagine any Zhui would survive for long on any planet above Class 4, maybe 5 at the most. Precisely, the blue-green Zhui responded. This facility is intended to be a prison colony. A low chance of survival outside of the facility is desirable. I see. Are you sure something in Class 5 wouldn't? No. Our existing prison is on a Class 6 Lambda Psi world. And several inmates have escaped and survived long enough for their associates to remove them from the planet. The judiciary does not wish to take chances with this new facility. Pethiest's antennae drooped. Then I'm afraid I can't help you, my friends. I don't know of any planet sculptors to whom I could refer you, either. What about the other planet sculptors on the station? The first Zhui asked. Others? I'm not aware of any. There is another, 3 sections spinward and 5 sections anti-coreward from this location. I believe it may have opened recently, explaining your ignorance. The Zhui answered, rudely interrupting him yet again. Perhaps we will consult with them tomorrow, if we can secure anti-gravity rigs for that purpose. Perhaps they will be able to help us. Perhaps they will, Pythias replied, spreading his right arms in a murmured shrug and closing his tablet down with his upper left. I don't know anything about them, so I couldn't say. Best of luck with that, and clear skies to you. Bijou oozed out of the store without a proper farewell, leaving Pythias irritated at their attitude and resigned to another few sun parts of boredom. He trudged behind the counter and settled in to wait.